Okay folks, I did a really bad job at trying to explain lists to you the other day in week 8, so I've created this short video to explain what should have happened. So create a quick list. I want to just call it list 1, and in list 1 I'm just going to stick the numbers 1 and 2, so obviously you're all quite happy with that. And if I just print list 1, obviously I'm at the shell, so I can just type list 1, pretty straightforward. I'm now going to create another list called list 2, and I'm going to make that equal to list 1, and obviously list 2 has now got the same information in, so quite happy. They are two lists. One is list 1, list 2 is a copy of list 1, and indeed that's how we teach it. And what I showed you the other day was I can change list 2, and I'm going to make that 3, 4. Oh, sorry, I should have called it list 2. That's one we were looking at as 3, 4. Get it right in a minute. 3, 4. And now we've got list 1 as 1, 2, and list 2 as 3, 4. So everything exactly as we expected, no problems there. But let's just do it this way. Let's just do list 2 is assigned list 1 again. So now I've made them both the same. Let's just check. List 1 is 1 and 2. List 2 is also 1 and 2. And now I'm going to do list 1 dot append. I'm going to append the value 3 to list 1. Let's check that that's worked. List 1 is appended. What happened to list 2? Because obviously independent. List 2, that's also 1, 2 and 3. So that's what the problem is. We treat them as independent lists. They look like they work as independent lists, but occasionally they don't. So this is one of the issues. I need to show you why this happens and to be aware of it, and how you can teach around it without getting into all the detail that I'm going to explain to you today. And the other thing I want to explain to you is what happens when we pass lists into functions. So we've got our main program here with a list called scores. It's got the value 10. We can print that out, and then I'm going to create a function called add new score, and that's going to add whatever value gets passed into new score into the scores list. So I can quickly write that code. It'll be scores.append, and I'm going to append the new score, which is pretty straightforward. And obviously now within the function we've changed score because we've appended a new value, so we return scores. All functions need to return whatever they've changed. That's quite good. And then obviously up here in main, what do we need to do? Well, we need to call the function. So I'm just going to call the function up here. It's called add new scores. What am I going to pass in? I'm going to pass in the scores list. That's okay. And I'm going to pass in a new score, maybe just a value 20. So the function call is right there, but obviously remember when we call a function, it's returning a value, it's returning scores. So when we call the function, we need to assign the return value back to the variable. Okay, so all looks well and good, and just to check if it's worked, we'll print scores after the function as well. So we're printing it before we call the function and after. Let's just run that and see what happens. So there we go, 10 and 20. Yeah, it does exactly what we thought. It starts with list 10. The function clearly adds 20 onto the end, and it works. However, watch this. Our function doesn't return scores, and our function, therefore, if it's not returning a value, doesn't return it back into scores. So remember what we teach: when we pass stuff into a function, whatever it does in the function won't alter it back in the main program. So when we come back into main, scores should be the same. Let's run our code and see what happens. 10, and oh no, after the function it's still 20. So bizarrely it worked. I.e., when we pass a list into a function, if we alter the list within the function, notice it's about altering the list, not creating a new list, it's altering the list. It actually alters it back in main. And again, I just need to show you how that works so that you understand it.